All right, so today we're going to look at adding and subtracting decimals. First, we're going to look at adding decimals. So I want to review place value real fast. So we're going to use the number 2 and 32 hundredths. So just a reminder for place value, this spot right here is your tenth spot. And this spot right here is your hundredths. And we always say our decimal with the word and. So in order to say this number, we would say 2, and we would say this entire number together, 32, and then we say whatever the place value is of the last number, hundredths. So 2 and 32 hundredths. So we're going to start with this number. And we are going to add 1 and 7 tenths. A reminder, we say tenths because the 7 is in the tenth spot. So when you go to add decimals, the biggest thing that you need to remember is that you need to line up your decimals. I could highlight that all day long, but you need to make sure that you are lining up your decimals. So in order to do this, we're just going to keep the 2 and 32 hundredths on top because it comes first. You could always flip it if you want to, but it's not necessary. So I always say put this number first, keep it on top, it came first. So 2 and 32 hundredths. And then we are going to add 1 and 7 tenths. And reminder, we need to make these decimals line up with each other. So in order to do that, the 1 needs to be right underneath the 2. Now we're stuck with a problem here, and the problem is that we have an open spot without a number, but it's really easy to solve that problem. All we need to do is we need to put a 0 into any open spots that we have. So we had an open spot right underneath this 2, so we're just going to add a 0 right there. And we're just going to add. So we will do 2 plus 0 first, which is 2. 3 plus 7, that equals 10. So we're going to put our 0 down, and we're going to carry that 1 over on top of the 2. So notice that just because these decimals are here does not mean that 1 needs to like slip on in. We're just going to carry it as if those decimals aren't there at the moment. And then we do 1 plus 2 plus 1, which equals 4. Now, it's our last step. We just bring that decimal straight on down. And you get 4 and 2 hundredths. If we want to check our answer, we could just use the inverse. And that just means the opposite of the operation that you just did. So in this case, we added, so the opposite of addition is always subtraction. They go together. So we can subtract. We'll take our answer, and we'll just subtract it by either one of these numbers. It won't matter which one we use, because it will get the other one, since they were added together in order to get our answer. So I'm just going to subtract 4 and 2 hundredths minus the 1 and 7 tenths. And reminder that the decimals have to stay lined up. And I'm going to add that 0 into that open spot because it's still necessary, because we still would have a blank spot there. And we're just going to subtract at this point. So 2 minus 0 is 2. We cannot subtract 0 minus 7 because 0 is smaller than 7, so we're going to borrow. That 4 will become a 3, and that 0 will become 10. And now we can subtract. So 10 minus 7 is 3. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. And because we kept everything lined up, that decimal just comes straight on down. And we know we're right because this number is the same as our number up there. So we are correct with the answer of 2 and 32 hundredths plus 1 and 7 tenths does equal 4 and 2 hundredths. Now to subtract, you kind of just saw that, but we can do another problem. So let's use the numbers 3 75/100ths minus 2 4/10. So we're just going to treat the exact same as we just did the addition problem. So we are going to line up those decimals. Keep this number first, regardless of which one has the most amount of numbers. It doesn't matter, okay? We are going to put the first number first. And we're going to line up those decimals. So in order to do that, the 2 needs to go underneath the 3. And reminder that we will just put a 0 in that missing spot. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. And 3 minus 2 is 1. Bring that decimal straight on down. And you get 1 35/100ths. Now you can check just like we did with the problem up top, and we could just add two numbers together because the inverse of subtraction is addition. So we can just add these. Let's do this over here. So we have 2 4/10 plus 1 35/100ths. Now notice we have that empty spot. Just put a 0 in there. And notice that the number that had the most amount of spots, we put on the bottom, okay? That's okay. You just add in zeros wherever you need. So add 0 plus 5 is 5. 4 plus 3 is 7. 2 plus 1 is 3. And you get your answer the same. So we are all set.